Hi, my name is JB, and this is Movie Talk, where I break down my favorite movies. Today, I want to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time by one of my favorite directors, Mr. Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. And I want to start out with a summary, and then I want to give you my thoughts on what I think this film is really talking about. The two things that I take from this film are one, that it is in our nature to take advantage of those who are weaker, and two, that without free will, we are all vulnerable. This film is based on the 1962 book of the same title by Anthony Burgess, set in a dystopian future somewhere in the United Kingdom. The film is told in two parts focused on a delinquent dropout named Alex DeLarge who's obsessed with Beethoven and terrorizing the weak. The first half of the film shows Alex in a position of power as the leader of a gang, terrorizing a homeless man and later inadvertently saving a woman from being raped by a rival gang. Following this, Alex and his gang invade the home of a couple pretending to need help. Here, he and his gang brutally beat the man and make him watch them rape his wife. Now, a member of this group named Dim is backed up by a couple of fellow members, Georgie and Pete, and attempt a coup. They want to take over the group from Alex, who's the leader, but Alex is inspired by Beethoven's Fifth, gets the upper hand, and makes an example out of Dim, who is also the weakest member of the group. Now, this is very important to remember because this is a microcosm of this whole movie. Alex remains the leader, but Dim and the others are resentful and plot revenge. Later, they break into a health retreat where Alex murders a woman. His friends ambush him and leave him for the police, where he is arrested, charged, convicted, and thrown in a prison full of grown men. He's only 17 years old. Right off the bat, Alex is introduced into a completely different world, a world where he has to follow very, very strict rules. Um, and in this world, Alex is emasculated. He's transformed into a eunuch, so to speak, and that's not him. Alex wants to get out. He realizes that there's a particular experiment that they are conducting called the Ludovico experiment, an experiment where they go into your head and they reprogram you, or they take out your aggressive nature to where you just become completely passive. He agrees to this experiment and he's transferred from prison to a clinic where they perform the experiment using a combination of drugs and films, where they force him to watch these films using these I don't know what you would call them. They're like little uh, this apparatus that they'll use to open his eyes up and to keep his eyes from closed, his eyelids from closed, and they make him watch all of these gruesome movies. I mean, they make him watch uh, uh, Nazi documentaries, rapings, all of these things that he used to get off on. He used to get off on that kind of stuff, but now with a combination of these drugs and this treatment, plus the fact that they play his favorite composition in the background, Beethoven's Fifth, now these images make him sick. They make him extremely, extremely violently sick. And that's the cure. And so they turn him loose. And once they turn him back out, loose into society, everybody that he victimized at the very beginning of this movie and the first half of this movie, guess what? It was the strong victimizing the weak, but now he's weaker than them. And what happens? They begin to victimize him. And that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the connection that Alex makes between his environment and how that translates into what he does. Because when he goes to the prison and when they perform this medical procedure on him, the question that's raised right away is this behavior on his part, is this something that is psychological? Is this something that is coming from him? Is this some abnormality in him? And I think that they are addressing it like it's something wrong with him. And so by not looking at his environment and where he came from, they turn him back out into that environment and he becomes a victim. Because in the first part of the movie, and I know that it's so ubiquitous that I mean, I could tell you I missed it. But it's like that every scene, his environment was full of violence. It was full of pornography. It was full of obscenity. Everything from the Corova milk bar to the buildings where they hung out with all of the graffiti of showing people having sex and penises and all that kind of stuff. And even his room where you see all of these posters of pornography and violence and whatnot. I mean, this was his environment. I mean, and and then I think that the film also getting away from that and getting on to this sick, twisted fetish that he had with Beethoven's Fifth and how he connected that with violence. Is how was that any different than the cat lady? Because the cat lady had pornography all throughout her house, but she called it art. And I think this is why he had to connect. He made that connection with violence with Beethoven's Fifth, which is considered art. I think because this society that we live in today, we call things that we would once call obscene, things that we would once call vulgar, things that we would once call pornography. That stuff is considered art now. That stuff that we don't even protect our kids from that stuff. And so this is why I think that he made that connection with Beethoven's Fifth. Another thing about the power, I think that by him going to jail, going to prison, I think that was an external totalitarian system. I think that the Ludovico technique was them taking that totalitarian system that was external and they were basically putting it in him. In other words, a totalitarian government is deprived is based upon total power of depriving you of any type of freedom. And I think that by them performing that procedure on him, I think that they were addressing that, but I think that they were saying, okay, instead of us putting you in a prison, we're going to put the prison in you. So you're going to keep yourself in check, thereby depriving him of his free will. Now, I know I got kind of excited talking about this film. This is one of my favorite films. I get that way when I'm talking about a good film like this. And 2001 is another film that I get like this, that I get excited like this about too. I'm going to share that with you in the future, but for now, we're going to just stop it right there. Those are just a few ideas of A Clockwork Orange that I wanted to share with you. And I appreciate you watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.